The go home Monday Night Raw for WrestleMania is in the books. How crazy is it that that might have been one of our last Raws until there are likely no more Raws next week? They've taped the Raw after WrestleMania, and I think that's going to be it for a while. I think like production is going to be paused and everything. Man, we're getting down to the end of it here. WrestleMania is this weekend. What's going on, y'all? Happy Monday. Good to see you, hopefully. You guys haven't been waiting too long. Sorry for keeping you waiting in there. Make sure we can be seen and heard. Yeah, we're looking good. We're up and running here. Quarantine TV continues here on the GoodMicWork channel. Tonight, we're only here to really talk about Monday Night Raw. The WrestleMania, the pay-per-view, the post-WrestleMania Raw and SmackDown, and the go-home Raw and SmackDown, I think were all taped this past week. So we kind of got smacked in the face with a barrage of crazy news for like 2 or 3 straight days there. And now everything is kind of settled. And now we're like basically watching the last couple of final produced shows until, you know, the business likely changes a little bit. Don't really know what to expect in the future in terms of WWE. We'll talk a little bit more about AEW later, but it's kind of eerie. It's kind of eerie to see it all kind of winding down, and now, you know, WrestleMania is done and it's finished, and everybody can kind of go home and just chill and do what they need to do until we figure out if we're going to get on the other side of this thing or not. So tonight's Raw I thought was interesting. It had some really good promos in there, but I was kind of watching it with that in the back of my mind the whole time. Like, wow, this is kind of, you know, this is kind of going to be it here soon. One more week and we're going to be out of regular new content here. You know, like I said, at least in terms of WWE. So anyway, how y'all doing? Good to see a bunch of you in here so far. What's going on? Devlin Husband. Good to see you, bro. Dave Simmons, Sonny, Big Dog, Recap, Clyde. Good to see you. Michael Cuomo, Habicity, Bob, Vontae, Ryan, Big Dog, Z-Man, Ian, Zane, Thomas, Sonic, Sam, Jet, Barry MK. All right, man. Bash. All right, good. Good audience in here so far. What'd y'all think of the show tonight? We got 2 replay or match replays. They opened up the show with the replay of last year's WrestleMania 35 main event, Becky Lynch, Ronda Rousey, and Charlotte. That made sense. You know, Becky and Charlotte both have huge matches at WrestleMania. And we also got one near the end of the show, a replay of Rey Mysterio and Brock Lesnar from Survivor Series. And they definitely could have picked a worse match, you know, in terms of that goes. That was a fun match to watch. I enjoyed the hell out of it. So the fact that they're replaying a couple of good ones is a good thing because they've been replaying some shitty ones as well. I mean, last week on SmackDown, they played Triple H and Roman Reigns from WrestleMania 32, which sucked. And then on ESPN, they replayed the entire card of WrestleMania 32. So we got that match twice in 3 days on like regular TV. That doesn't help me at all. That's silly. So anyway, sometimes they've been putting up there some duds, but if they're going to show, you know, matches from the past, they've given us some good ones like the Rey versus Brock and like the triple threat of Seth Rollins, Cena, and Brock from a few years back. So that's going to be a thing of the future. I mean, I see a lot of people complaining about that too. A lot of people complaining about that online. Man, I don't want to see just some past match. I don't know why that is just so bad. You know, under the circumstances, I think that showing past matches is a lot better in some cases than what they're doing in an empty arena. And I think there needs to be a balance between the two. And if you have a 3-hour show, you know, you got to keep it. You just can't have 3 hours of straight empty arena wrestling. I just don't think that works. And I think replaying past matches and just showing the audience at home matches of back when we could go to shows and there was an audience there, I just think is fine. And there's some great content to go back and use. There's some great content that's, you know, been month in and month out in WWE that they can go back and borrow from if they have to. I hardly think it's the worst thing in the world. And like I said, provided they pick the matches properly and they don't just give us a bunch of shit, I think it can be fine. And we've certainly seen worse. And I think that all of us in a non-coronavirus world, we're all complaining about Monday Night Raw. Sometimes we even joked that it would be better if they played a rerun. You know, so here we are. You know, the entire world is on pause, and it's a very weird time right now. So get used to WWE playing some matches, especially if they're going to try to build towards like pay-per-views and limited arenas or empty arenas, and they're going to try to produce beyond WrestleMania and continue doing what they're doing in some way. Maybe when some of the restrictions get lightened up or eased up a little bit, they're still going to be in that situation where, you know, they need to replay matches just to say, okay, here's your big main event. Let's show a match, you know, from the opponent or a match from the challenger and a match from the champion, one of their best ever in WrestleMania. Like it's hardly the worst thing in the world. And I think under the circumstances, it's kind of like what you have to do. And it's going to be really interesting, like I said, if they do halt production as far as new weekly content, how are they going to fill those 3 hours of Raw? Is it going to be a combination of what we see now, like with the matches, and then maybe combine it with a clip show? I mean, they're all going to be clip shows. The ratings are probably going to be really bad for something like that. And I don't know how they're possibly going to be able to keep that fresh. And AEW could be in a similar boat. So I don't know how all that's going to work, but based on what we saw tonight, it's like, man, everything WWE's put in the can is just about to be released to us. And then where do we go from there? Then what? I want to say hello again to everybody else here in the chat. Zane, thank you for the $1 super chat right off the bat. I appreciate it. Yeah, and we've got the entire, which year they're going to do this year's Royal Rumble, right? January's Royal Rumble is going to play tomorrow on FS1. So they're replaying a lot of wrestling out there. And like I said, on the ESPN stuff, I was fine with them playing WrestleManias, but I thought they picked kind of 4 shitty ones, and they should have mixed them up a little bit. Why they played 30, what did they play, 32 and 35? Yeah, those sucked. And I think they could have done better there. But anyway, it might be something that we're going to have to get used to and accustomed to seeing down the road with all this stuff, But in terms of Raw tonight, we're just going to kind of run through the few things that they had. They basically focused on the heavy angles here and Raw's side of the pay-per-view. Got a couple of match confirmations. The tag team title match, which we had a feeling was going to happen with the women, was confirmed tonight as well. And they are still kind of promoting, even though it was Raw tonight, they still are promoting Roman Reigns versus Goldberg. They did the big card rundown. I even have the website pulled up here for a match listing, and they're still advertising Goldberg and Roman Reigns, which is kind of funny because Roman Reigns came out today, I think it was today, and he released kind of a statement on his Instagram, basically explaining himself for backing out of WrestleMania and kind of a message to his fans. And I kind of read most of it, and I'm looking at it, I'm like, Jesus, he wrote a lot. I'm like, Roman, brother, you do not owe these assholes a thing. You do not need to tell them why you made this decision. It's not their fucking business, and they certainly don't have any right to judge you. And apparently, according to his Instagram post, he said he was getting a lot of those, oh, you're a coward, or you're a sissy type of tweets. Imagine the nerve on some homeless piece of shit, or just some jobless, unemployed asshole, even when we're not dealing with a virus. This guy's sitting on his ass and he's going to type and pass judgment on Roman Reigns, a guy who works his ass off and is putting the health of himself and his family first. He doesn't owe anybody anything, but he still felt like he had the need to come up here and explain to everybody why he made the decision he made, and I feel like he had every right to make that decision. But what's funny is he comes out on social media and explains that, but WWE hasn't tied up his business yet on that side of things with WrestleMania. So I was wondering if maybe this week on SmackDown we see some sort of an angle run where he's knocked out and replaced. Because I didn't think WWE would just come out and say at WrestleMania Roman Reigns felt uncomfortable due to the coronavirus. If you've noticed, WWE doesn't like to talk about the coronavirus at all. To them, it doesn't exist. All this means is it's too big for one night, too big for one night, too big for one night. They just hammer that into your skull. So I didn't think that they would really come out and be honest about that. I thought for sure they would run a storyline or an angle or an injury angle or a backstage something or other. So it'll be funny if that now happens on Friday when Roman Reigns just kind of explained why he's not in there. I don't know how they're going to work that. I almost think maybe Roman should have waited to post that Instagram post until after SmackDown, but maybe we're not even going to get those answers until the day of WrestleMania itself. We still might not get answers on SmackDown. How weird will that be? On Friday when we're watching that show and they are still promoting Roman Reigns versus Goldberg and we don't get the switch until whatever happens at WrestleMania. It's going to be interesting to see how that plays out, but it is kind of a funny kind of a backstory there with Roman Reigns' Instagram opponent or Instagram statement. And they're like, well, they're still advertising him as Goldberg's opponent. And that's funny. So anyway, like I said, tonight, WWE focused on a lot of their big angles. They started out with The Undertaker, and The Undertaker cut a hell of a promo. Holy shit, this thing was good. I think that it's one of the rare positives in this pandemic and this epidemic is that I think some of these promos are just feeling a little bit more, I don't want to say authentic, because it's not like WWE hasn't done these backstage dimly lit promos before with the guy talking right into the camera. We've seen this a lot. But without having to hear the feedback of the audience, I think it's one area where not having an audience is actually a little bit better. The promos just feel a little bit better. And granted, so far we've been having some really good dudes doing these. It don't get much better than the Undertaker and Edge as we saw today. So I don't think every piece of talent is going to be capable of delivering like that in that sort of an environment. But Taker tonight, boy, he was, it really felt like it was Mark talking to you, or at least it was the American Badass talking to you. I think he even told AJ he was going to make him famous. I don't know if he's used that as the dead man. He probably has, but I remember it as a American Badass type of thing. Called AJ Styles by his real name, just like AJ was doing to him, and said, AJ, it was cool up until you brought my wife into it. And the funny thing is he mentioned the Styles Clash, and I just laughed my ass off because we were all joking at one point. Do you think AJ's mad at Michelle McCool because she used the Styles Clash? Now, ironically, I don't even remember Michelle McCool barely in the ring. I mean, I remember her. I remember when she came in, and I remember what she looked like and everything, but I don't remember any of her matches. I know she's been Divas champion, but I don't know when, who she beat, when she lost it. I remember nothing virtually about Michelle McCool. So I had no idea, or at least forgot, that she was even using that move. So when we were talking about it, we were mentioning it as it was like a joke. Oh, that's probably why she's mad. Like, how absurd would that be? But Taker kind of verified it in his promo. He said, AJ, you're just mad because she did the Styles Clash better than you and she got it over. Which is crazy, which is untrue because I don't even remember it. And I definitely remember many, many, many AJ Styles clashes that he delivered all over the world. So I don't know if that was necessarily accurate, but the way Undertaker was kind of looking into the camera, his delivery, everything was very smooth. He felt very comfortable. You felt like he could be kind of an actor. And I think that's what WWE likes to go for in a lot of these promos, to make them a little bit more, movie-like or cinematic or whatever, in terms of like promo delivery. And I feel like it was, you could feel it a little bit more in him. It felt pretty genuine. He legitimately looked like someone who wanted to kill AJ Styles and plans on doing that. And, a couple of cliched phrases aside, like your mouth's running right and checks your body can't cash and all that dumb shit. Aside from that, which I don't really like, it was good. It was a really good promo. And I don't know. I mean, this was pre-taped. I don't know how many tries he had at this, or if he perfected it, or if they worked on it a little bit. But it was nailed. And Undertaker had everything, he had everything just clicking and flowing. And it was probably one of my favorite Undertaker promos, and got to be recent memory, because a lot of his promos are mostly the same for the most part, unless he's in there with somebody like Shawn or somebody else, and there's a couple of shoot comments flying or something like that. Otherwise, this one I'm gonna at least remember. So that's something we can take away from this pandemic. It is giving us some interesting parts of wrestling that I really wasn't expecting. Because WWE can always cut these type of promos when they want at TV, but now that there's truly no audience there, and just the way they're produced, and a lot of the dialogue, I just thought Taker's promo was amazing. And Edge, would have an equally good one later on in the show, but I especially enjoyed Taker promo. One of my favorite times I can remember hearing him speak in probably the last decade. So right on for Undertaker. That was when they played the replay of the WrestleMania 35 match, Becky Lynch, Ronda Rousey, and Charlotte. So we know who won that. After that, we had Becky Lynch cutting a promo. She's at the top of the stage now, cutting a promo on Shayna Baszler. She doesn't last too long. Shayna comes up from behind her, grabs her, starts choking her out. And what does she do? Gives her kind of a power bomb or a spine buster or something right on the floor there next to the announce table. So Shayna kind of got the last laugh here. And I don't know where my predictions would be. My mind is so all over the place because this pandemic and everything has jumbled everything up so much. But had this not happened and we were going into Tampa as a regular WrestleMania, I don't know. I was feeling like, they've been building up Shayna. Somebody, if it's not going to be Rousey coming back, somebody's got to take this damn belt off of Becky. She's been champ for a year now. And if you want to put another major player on your roster, that's a good way to do it. Move up Shayna Baszler, who has passed the baton to Rhea Ripley. Now move her up to the main roster and give her a big victory right off the bat, ending Becky Lynch's year-long run as champ. that's one hell of a way to kind of make a new woman, make a new star in your female roster. And to me, all directions would point to that. But I'm not sold on it, man. I'm not sold on it that Becky's going to find a way to beat her, and it's just going to be it's going to be a setup for maybe something else. You know, I would love to see Ronda Rousey back. Seeing that WrestleMania match tonight made me miss her a lot. I miss Ronda Rousey. She was great. I think the fans that shit on her are crazy. She was a remarkable wrestler coming in that fast and being that successful that quick. And, you know, I've said it a million times. I feel like she took to wrestling much like Kurt Angle did when that's usually not the case for people coming in from an outside sport. It takes them a while. They picked it up like they've been doing it their whole lives. I miss Ronda. I think she has a lot to offer. I hope she's back. So unless they're saving Becky for whenever that is, you know, I think I would move the belt over to Shayna here, but I ain't sold on it. And I'll do some predictions later on this week. But as of right now, I'm kind of thinking Becky's taking this match, as crazy as that sounds. Next up, we had Aleister Black defeating who I have written down here as Dollar Tree Jay Lethal. I don't know how accurate that is. He is still advertised against Bobby Lashley. I thought we had heard rumblings that maybe Lashley was out, but as of right now, he's still being advertised for the WrestleMania match. And that match was super short, by the way. Black beat that guy in, 8 seconds or something. Next up, we had an advertised match between the Street Profits and Kevin Owens taking on Seth Rollins, Angel Garza, and Andrade. Now, it was reported earlier this week that Andrade was out. He suffered a rib injury last week on Raw. So he's out of the tag team title match now at WrestleMania, but he's advertised here. And before the match started, Zelina Vega came out and introduced Austin Theory as Andrade's replacement. So he was injured in the match last week, and it was Austin Theory replacing him here. And from what I understand, it's Austin Theory replacing him at WrestleMania. I don't think that's really a spoiler. The fact that Austin sat in for him here, it doesn't take a genius to figure out that he'll likely be the partner at WrestleMania. So I didn't spoil anything for you there. The babyfaces won. Kevin Owens nailed Angel Garza with a Stone Cold Stunner and pinned him. Seth Rollins nailed Kevin Owens with a stomp right after that. And then Owens cut a pretty decent promo of his own. You had two good ones, kind of behind-the-scenes style with Edge and Undertaker. And then Owens, after getting stomped, just kind of sits in the ring, kind of sits back on the bottom rope, laying down, and basically calls Seth Rollins, what do you call him, a piece of shit or a dipshit? Something like that. And that was good. So we had some good promo work all across the board here from just everyone. It was great. So after the match, that's when we get the Edge promo, I believe. Now, he's backstage again, very similar to The Undertaker type of promo, talking directly to Randy Orton. Great shit. You know, he kind of peeled back the curtain a little bit as well. Called Orton out for basically being like okay with being okay. He was a guy that, you know, many think could have even been bigger than he was, you know, especially when it came down to Cena and Orton, you know, which guy was going to be the Rock and which guy was going to be the Stone Cold. And Cena, you know, ended up, you know, getting the keys, and Randy Orton probably could have been there, especially the fact that he was better looking and had probably a better understanding for wrestling based on the fact that he's a third generation guy. But Cena did everything right, and Randy Orton kind of fucked up along the way and is kind of even lucky to be where he is. So Edge kind of making that known was interesting, and Edge definitely had a look of a guy that legitimately wanted to kill another man. And I like that. It felt good. Like I said, the promos tonight were amazing. So I'm interested in that match. I'm just hoping for Edge's sake. You know, I've said this before that I feel horrible for him that he's come back, and his comeback was kind of mired in a bunch of crap with the Kobe death on the same day. And now his entire build and his return angle that's been great, even with no audience, even with a coronavirus pandemic in the world, Edge and Orton has still been amazing. But sometimes I get sad when I think of how amazing-er it could be if they had an audience full of people in front of them watching them perform. And some of these moments on TV, I just think would have been so great. And they were, you know, the early ones were. The stuff with Beth Phoenix and the stuff with Orton and Edge were very good. But now it's kind of mired in all this, you know, pandemic stuff. And now Edge's return match after all these years fighting to get back to this one match is going to be in a very strange environment. And he's already had it. Hope he's doing all right. Hope he feels okay. Hope he didn't take any crazy bumps. And that's going to be interesting, you know, this weekend. I can't wait to see what they do, how they pull it off, and if it's literally just them fighting throughout the Performance Center, or if they get a little nuts here. We'll we'll see. Either way, I'm expecting, Edge to win. He better. You know what I mean? We also had Asuka. She tapped out Caden Carter. She cut a great promo first. I really hope that Jake Roberts was taking notes, because that guy can learn a thing or two from Asuka, and especially now that he finds himself on AEW around a lot of people that can probably cut better promos than him. I hope he was writing down some of the things Asuka was saying, and some of her mannerisms and things like that, because Jake needs all the help he can get, you know what I mean? But after she was done cutting her promo, she tapped out Caden Carter, who made her debut. So Caden Carter and Austin Theory came up. Don't know if this is I don't know if these are one-time appearances or if they're being moved up to the roster. I would guess that they're just one-time filler appearances because they're there. They probably live in Florida because they're at the PC every day, and they're pieces of talent you can use on your TV show without having to fly others in. So I kind of think that they were there for one night only, but we'll see. And also, in terms of the women, the tag team title match was made official. We had a feeling this was going to happen between Asuka or the Kabukis and Nikki and Alexa Bliss, and I've got a feeling that the Kabukis are going down. I just feel like their title reign is over. Kairi Sane I don't even feel like Kairi Sane is around. We've heard rumors of her maybe leaving the company, and it feels like they focus a lot on Asuka and they don't have much to do with Kairi. And I think WWE, especially if they're about to suspend production for a while, putting the belt on Nikki and Alexa, two pieces of talent that likely aren't going anywhere, is probably what they're going to do there. And how about Alexa Bliss beating Asuka last week on SmackDown? My heart couldn't take that. That was rough, man. That was rough to watch. So I think Asuka's going to go down to Little Miss Bliss again and probably drop them tag straps to her. And the crazy one at Mania. We had Rhea Ripley being filmed, showing up to the arena earlier on in the day, almost wearing like her wrestling gear. Is that how she shows up to the arena? Wearing all that shit? So she's carrying her little suitcase and she's attacked from behind by Charlotte, who just rams her into like one of those big, steel doors or whatever. So Rhea gets up and that's it. Charlotte just says, "I'll see you at WrestleMania." And that's all the build they did here for this. Just Charlotte taking out Rhea. So with her getting the upper hand on Rhea, I don't know. I kind of was thinking that Charlotte was going to win the NXT title against Rhea Ripley and maybe hang out in NXT for a few months. But now with this pandemic, if I was WWE, I would change my mind here. Because if I'm WWE, I'm thinking Charlotte's going to win the match. And I'm thinking maybe she drops the belt back to Rhea. Because I know when she beats Rhea, the fans are going to be like, "Oh, man, she's buried," and all that shit. But sending Charlotte to NXT might be something that WWE wanted to do. So if they send her there for a couple of months and then as long as she drops it back, I don't care. Same deal with the Asuka match a couple years ago at WrestleMania. I was like, don't worry about it. As long as they have a rematch and Asuka wins or something and they continue that rivalry that can be, stretched for years. They can pick it back up. They can resume it just like Randy Orton and Edge did. Or I'm sorry, Randy Orton and Cena did. Just like Cena and Edge did. Just like Stone Cold and The Rock did. A lot of guys like that had a long-running, understood rivalry to where it could just be Triple H and Shawn Michaels is another good example. It can just be picked back up whenever. And I thought you could have had that in Asuka and Charlotte, but that didn't happen. So I don't want to see WWE make that same mistake here. And if they were going to have Charlotte beat Rhea, I'm like, great, send Charlotte to NXT for the summer. Rhea wins the belt back at TakeOver SummerSlam weekend. No problem. But now with the coronavirus stuff, I don't know if that's something, maybe those plans need to be scrapped for the moment. Rhea Ripley is your top star, your top female star in NXT. If you're going to suspend production and things are going to be a little bit on hold for right now, I would personally keep the belt on Rhea Ripley because she is a NXT person. She's the NXT champion and she needs to remain that way. So if I would book this match would be booked two different ways. If I'm booking this and I'm handed the book and we have no pandemic, I'm booking Charlotte to win. But with the pandemic, I'm booking Rhea to win. I think that's what should happen there. That's when we had the replay of Brock Lesnar and Rey Mysterio, and the show closed with Paul Heyman and Brock Lesnar cutting a promo, and Heyman just rolled off of all the names of guys that Brock Lesnar has defeated, including The Rock and Hulk Hogan, and all sorts of names there, and The Undertaker, and basically says that Drew McIntyre is fucked. And that's how the show went off the air. And that's all Raw was. 3-hour show. Excuse me. Nose is itching. Let me go back over here to the chat, answer a couple of super chats, and then we'll preview WrestleMania. We'll talk about the matches that I have, and we'll talk about what the future might hold after this. And we'll talk a little bit about the pandemic and all that good stuff as well. All right, I don't think I missed anybody then, just a couple in here. Joshua, there you are. Paricio, good to see you, man. Thanks for the $2. I would like to see the WWE 24 of this WrestleMania. Do you think they're going to do one? That's an interesting thought. I guess that they are. But man, I tell you what, man, if we do, I cannot wait until this is over and we can just start resuming our lives and how happy we're all going to be when it does. It might not be something that we want to remember, I don't know if in a year from now, if I want to be like, hey, let's just relive how shitty that pandemic was. WWE's in a tough spot there too, because this is either going to make a 24 documentary that some might enjoy, but I probably wouldn't, or they're going to have to not do one at all, and we're going to miss out on that next year. That really sucks. We get a good one the night of WrestleMania, after the show's over. Edge's 24 doc on his return comes out, so that'll be a good one. But yeah, that sucks. We're not going to get that. We're either not going to get it, or we're going to get a very different looking one or the other there. But in terms of WrestleMania and the card, let's kind of run through it, touch on a few news and notes about each match. I'm going to go way down here at the bottom. Aleister Black taking on Bobby Lashley. Not much to say there. I just hope Aleister Black wins. Elias taking on King Corbin. Now, we saw the gnar bump that Elias took on SmackDown, or the bump that he took. And I'm curious if maybe he's out of the match or something as well, and maybe they ran that as an angle. Because if you really take that bump 20 feet onto concrete, can you wrestle the next week? I mean, we all got pissed at Matt Hardy, or WWE, for booking the match with Randy Orton and Matt Hardy right after Randy Orton killed him. We're like, hey, that doesn't make sense. Edge was, disappeared when that happened to him, and Matt Hardy's wrestling in 7 days, and they kind of fixed it. They changed it. So how does Elias take that bump and he's okay to wrestle a week later against Baron Corbin? I don't know. But anyway, as of right now, that match is on. The Raw Tag Team titles are on the line as well. Street Profits taking on Andrade and Angel Garza, but we know Andrade's out and he will be replaced. SmackDown Tag titles is a triple threat. Miz and Morrison taking on Usos and The New Day, and Miz is also out of WrestleMania. So I haven't read his replacement, don't know what's going on there, but we'll see this weekend. We've also got Intercontinental Champion Sami Zayn defending against Daniel Bryan. Now, again, this is one of those matches, much like Rhea and Charlotte. I'm not sure if my mind might be changed just due to the circumstances we're in. If there's no pandemic, I'm putting the belt on Daniel Bryan. I'm having him feud with Drew Gulak and drop the IC title to Gulak, and Daniel Bryan takes some time off to witness his baby being born. Something like that. But now with all this, I don't know. They might keep it on Sami. Do you want to be hot potato in titles right now? I mean, he just won it from Braun. I don't know. That's tough. We'll be doing predictions this week. I'll come up here probably Friday after SmackDown, and we'll do that. Kevin Owens taking on Seth Rollins. Not much to say there. I think Kevin Owens will take that. Seth Rollins is a messiah without a posse. He's got nothing going on. He's got Buddy Murphy, who I think is also out and sick, and the AOP are on the shelf for several months. So Monday Night Messiah, the faction never even really got rolling. It's already done. It's depleted, so I don't know where they're going to go with that. And if maybe this Kevin Owens and Seth Rollins match leads to the eventual final demise, and Seth drops the black glove and the leather jacket, and he just goes back to being normal heel Seth, which is equally as douchey. Doesn't really matter to me which one. Like I said, NXT women's title on the line, Rhea Ripley defending against Charlotte. I'm going to pick Rhea Ripley right now. I think she's the better choice to win, considering there is a pandemic. If there wasn't, I would put the belt on Charlotte and send her to NXT for 3 months and then bring her back. But now that this is all happening, I don't see the point. I just would keep the belt on Ripley. We have the SmackDown women's title on the line, 5-way elimination match. Bayley defending against Sasha, Lacey, Tamina, and Naomi. I'm going Bayley on that one. Continue her as champion, and then get ready for that clash with Sasha at some point, whether that's SummerSlam, Money in the Bank, whenever. Sasha winning the Money in the Bank would be interesting, though, wouldn't it? If we got to that, Sasha takes the briefcase, and then she's got that thing dangling in front of her friend's face. That might be what they do. We also have Becky Lynch, of course, taking on Shayna Baszler. I don't know. Like I said earlier, I might be picking Becky right now. I'm not sold on Baszler winning, but I don't have a prediction yet. Edge versus Randy Orton, last man standing match. John Cena versus Bray Wyatt in a Firefly Funhouse match, which apparently is going to look pretty cool. AJ Styles versus The Undertaker in a Boneyard match, which apparently is also going to look really cool. Universal Champion Goldberg versus Roman Reigns, which we know is not happening, and WWE Champion Brock Lesnar defending against McIntyre. So with Roman out, and I talked about this in the past couple of weeks before we knew Roman was out, I was worried because I'm like, they can't keep the belt on fucking Goldberg. They can't. please, no. Especially if, like I've been saying, if they're going to pause production, keep the title on like one of your guys, not like a part-timer. Get the belt off of him. So I kind of thought Roman Reigns was a shoo-in. So I was like, are we really going to see two just long-haired, bearded guys win world titles in the same type of fashion? Both, baby faces, and, is Roman being there and getting that title match against Goldberg going to take away from Drew's moment? Well, now Roman's out. And like I said, I don't know who won that match with Goldberg. I know who replaced Roman, but I don't know who won. So maybe that means that helps Drew McIntyre's chances of really defeating or really winning the title here from Brock Lesnar. And now that all this is kind of happening, I'm picking Drew, man. He went off back to Scotland and filmed that whole thing and the whole deal. He looked like $1 million freaking bucks out there, and he's got a great story, great comeback story. This is like, I think this is what WWE maybe had in mind for Jinder, but nobody liked Jinder. We all like Drew, and Drew's awesome. So to see him come back and make it to this level, and he puts down the beast. I mean, Paul Heyman essentially in his promo tonight was putting over Drew, provided Drew wins. Paul Heyman going on and on about how many greats Brock Lesnar has slayed, the best of the best. Every big name that's ever been in wrestling, Brock Lesnar has beat. And with every word that came out of Paul Heyman's mouth, the stronger that's going to make McIntyre look if he puts Brock down. So I really want to see Drew, and I'd prefer it, obviously, in front of 80,000 people. But even in a pandemic, I still want to see him win here. I think that would give the fans a little bit of hope. I think that would give the fans a little bit of positivity to think about and saying, okay, when wrestling does come back, at least it's not, because Brock gets a lot of heat. I'm a Brock fan for life. I've always had Brock's back. I think he's awesome, but I understand that it grows tiresome when he's the champion for 100 fucking years. So Brock dropping the belt here to Drew, I think it would at least keep the fans thinking in a positive direction. Okay, when we get on the other side of this, we got a champion, we got a new champion. The belt's going to be on Raw every week. This is going to be so much better. And I think it'll give us something to be optimistic about and something to hold on to, kind of thing. So I absolutely believe at this point that Drew McIntyre should beat Brock Lesnar. I want him to anyway. He better. How's it going here in the chat? Everybody doing all right? A couple hundred people in here. Do me a favor, smash that thumbs up for me if you would. I'd appreciate it. Had a lot of content on the channel this past week. We were up here on Saturday for the Winged Eagle podcast, and then on Friday I released my review of the Chris Benoit Dark Side of the Ring documentary, which was nuts. And the next one is rolling out, I believe, on Tuesday, and that's going to be the New Jack episode. And apparently the Owen Hart one, and I mentioned this last week, I'm like, whenever that one airs, please give me a break. I cannot watch that one next week. And right after the Benoit ones, that's just going to be too much back-to-back. But apparently it's the season finale, so that's going to be the final video in this series, and that's going to be the big one there. And Martha and Oj are all in on this, and we're going to see a lot of them, and it's crazy, man. It's going to be crazy. So those are some pretty good documentaries we have to look forward to, but we've got New Jack coming up next. Yeah, I was going to talk about the pandemic first. I meant to open up with that because usually I want to check on y'all. Hopefully you guys are doing all right. We're into our second week here of, full-on quarantine. Most people are staying home unless you do have a job that you are able to stay in business and you're able to still go to work. Consider yourself lucky. A lot of people are on unemployment, including myself. And I know a lot of you guys are just struggling with everything that everybody's dealing with. It's really crazy that we're going through this right now, and they really don't want us leaving our homes. And this is, if you're young, you got to appreciate how crazy this is. This is something that, it's kind of a once in a lifetime type of thing, and we're going through it. And I'm old enough now to have lived through 9/11 and this, and there's probably going to be more things that we're going to have to deal with as a species in this world. And this one's pretty crazy and pretty scary, just in terms of how it's like paralyzing everything. And it's just had this horrific just ripple effect through all of society, to where we're losing jobs and economies are going down, and and countries don't know what to do, and they're quarantining and scrambling, trying to find a cure, trying to find a vaccine, trying to find some medicine and get medical care out there. It's becoming a war zone in some of the more populated cities. This is one of the times where I don't feel too comfortable living somewhere like San Diego that's kind of big and has a lot of people. I'd almost like to be in small town North Carolina, where I used to live. I'd feel a little bit more isolated, a little bit better there. because New York and LA have tons of these cases. New York is a mess. All the medical and hospital personnel. Think about these doctors and nurses, man, that are probably just being treated like shit by every entitled asshole patient they see, who are rightfully frustrated, but at the same time, these doctors and nurses risking their lives to treat these ungrateful people. It's just such a mess. So it's just smart for everybody just to do their best to stay inside and try not to get sick and try not to make others sick. And this all sucks, but if done right, it can all pass. And until then, we just gotta just sit and chill. I mean, it's crazy. I mean, most people too, think of how many people who live really crazy, hectic lives. And sometimes you say to yourself, man, I just wish I could pause the world. Well, we really have paused the world. If you're one of those people that needs to mentally recharge, instead of worrying about the pandemic, do your best to take advantage of this. Catch up on your sleep. Just get some rest and recharge and be able to just put your feet up and enjoy not having to do anything. And provided you don't have any other stresses to worry about, like the financial stress that's been put on everybody due to this thing, just try to ride it out and at least make the best of the free time. And maybe you can jump back into life running, at full speed, because you'll be so, well energized, basically. And that's the way I feel. I'm itching to get back to work, and it's only been a couple of weeks, and I think we're probably 2 months. To me, in my head, like, the best case scenario here is if we can start getting back to life on June 1st. That's what I would like. I would love to know if I'm going to make my summer vacation or not. I'm assuming no, probably now. But if I knew that in advance, plane tickets are dirt cheap, man. I can get a round trip ticket from California to the East Coast for like $160. It's fucking crazy. But it's just amazing that nobody's going anywhere, nobody's doing anything, and how paralyzed we truly are. And I hope that like June 1st, we can start easing our way back into life. It might not be totally safe, but by then we might just say, fuck it. You got to just go out and start going back to work and doing stuff. If June 1st is the day that things can get back to normal, for me personally, I will survive. Anything beyond June 1st, I will be slightly worried. I'm like, okay, does some sort of a major change need to happen here? Do I need to take some steps because this is not getting better, it's getting worse? And what do I do now, kind of thing? But if we can get back to regular life, or at least some sort of a regular life in the next 2 months, I'm optimistic that I will be just fine in terms of my job, because we are going to remain open and all of our employees are keeping their jobs, and we're dealing with it just fine. But anything longer than that is not only going to harm me, but it's going to harm just tons and tons of people, and they might be on that same time frame. So whatever you guys are doing, as far as, how you're hanging in there, and, whether you're working or not, I just hope that you're staying safe for the most part, and that you're just doing well, because this sucks, man. This sucks, and it's ruined our wrestling. Ugh. And a lot of people have school. Yeah, and Nick, yes, some people who are in the grocery business, you guys are heroes as well, because, people are still going into grocery stores. My places are kind of limiting how many people are in there and stuff, but still, you're around people and you're in there, whether you have a sneeze guard on you or not, you're in there around people. So, but at least that you can still go to work. At least this pandemic is not going to affect you financially, because if you're making an hourly wage and you're not working less hours, this doesn't affect you financially. And I think financial is, right now anyway, is as big of a hit as, the health issue, as far as, the severity of the disease and everything. It's completely crippling everything, and it could wipe out a lot of businesses. Even when this is over, some might not be able to recover. And that's scary. That's the unknown is what's scary. And it's the first time, at least in my lifetime, that I've really had this feeling of, I don't know what the fuck the world is going to be like in 2 months or 3 months. I mean, after like 9/11, we knew we'd rebuild, we'd erect a giant fucking middle finger directed at the assholes that rammed those planes into us. That's, rebuildable, and we'll bounce back from that. But this is on such a much larger scale here, to where it's like, you just don't know, and some of the smartest and most trusted medical experts, are learning one thing one day and then learning a different thing the next. And it's, and then they have to try to keep the public as informed about this as possible, but that's a fucking circus. And don't listen to anything a politician says, especially if he's orange. The only people you guys need to be listening to are doctors and specialists and people that actually know things about this and aren't just pulling information out of their ass and just throwing it at a bunch of brain dead idiots. I'm begging you, if you want to learn about the coronavirus, if you want to know the latest, stay off TV. Just listen to doctors and shit. That's my best advice, because otherwise that shit will make you dizzy. But I think it's important also for people to know what's right and know what's wrong, and know what's factual and know what's made up. And that's why you got to trust the doctors and nobody else. Only the doctors. Devlin, brother, thank you, man, for the $20. I appreciate it. Man Mania next year is going to be super exciting. I hope so. Let's hope we have one, dude. I am still getting paid, so I hope this helps you in this awful situation. Well, it definitely does, dude. I appreciate it. I'm really glad that you are dealing with this there. Devlin is living in Hawaii, so he ain't got it too bad. But yeah, you're in the military there, and you've got pretty good gig there, and I hope you're surviving. I saw your I saw your message about the tsunami warning. Man, what is going on? There was like an earthquake in Utah. There's tsunami warnings. We got all sorts of shit happening. We got celebrities dying. We've got economies collapsing. We got a virus sweeping through the world. What's going on, 2020? I'd do anything to go back to 2019. Jesus. It is it's crazy, man. James, as far as I know, the stimulus that they are sending out, and again, don't quote me because I only know the basics here, they are going to find you through your taxes. So if you filed taxes this year and you've already filed them, that should be, and you've provided your bank information, that should go directly to your bank, I believe. If you haven't filed, or if you live at a different address or something like that, or you're not in the system, it's going to be mailed to you, I think. But I'm not even completely sure. Or maybe everything's being mailed to you, but people who file their taxes will get it quicker. People who are harder to find will get it later. Don't really know. I mean, they've never really had to do this before. We've had a couple of stimuluses before, but they've never been because of some sort of a crazy economic collapse, just a little bit. A couple of times the government sent me and I got a direct deposit in my account. But as far as how this is going to work, I don't know. But if it takes them 3 weeks or a month to send everybody $1,200, it does nothing. That's like, I mean, yes, every little bit helps, but that ain't going to help me, just sending $1,200. We're going to need a lot more than that. Now, if they said we're going to send every American $5,000, then we're talking. Then not only do I think the people here would be able to keep their bills up to date, but they would probably stimulate the economy a little bit by doing a shit ton of online shopping and a lot of shopping and doing things when the world opens back up. But $5,000, that's a little much. That's a stretch. I would think it would be a direct deposit. Mailing shit out is going to have to be necessary for some people, but the way technology is, direct deposit is the way to go, and most people can get their tax refunds done that way anyway. So yeah, direct deposit is going to have to be done there, because otherwise you're sending out God knows how many checks to people, and I'd say a third of them actually get to their intended recipients. Yeah, you don't want to try that. Then it's just down to desperation. Then you have people like, I need that money, and where the fuck is it, and blah blah blah, and the overwhelming amount of calls and inquiries and stuff. It's just, that's what you want to avoid. It's got to be done quick, and it's got to be done as organized as possible. Let's just hope anyway. And hopefully that won't be the only one, No, I don't think that's. I think it's going to be probably every adult, James. They're not going to give it to people who only make $75,000 a year. The people who need it are the people who make less than $75,000 a year. So yeah, it's likely going to go to every American, provided just your shit's up to date and you have been filing your taxes every year, and you've got a correct address on file and that sort of thing. You should be fine. Thank you, Blue Falcondor, for the $5. I appreciate it. If you did your taxes and the refund, whatever you owed in 2018-19 through a bank, you will see a deposit in a couple of weeks. Yeah, exactly. So yeah, if you provided your bank information before, that's what you need. They need to have your bank information, because if they do, right in there. So yeah, I got to check my situation. I don't even know what the fuck my situation is. I got to look into mine as well. But yeah, this isn't fun. That's for sure. In terms of what we have this week for wrestling too, I'll be up here. I got to figure out what day to come up and do some predictions. I guess I'll come up. I could do that prior to SmackDown. I'm not sure. I'm going to put up links tomorrow or Tuesday. I'll know the rest of my schedule. Most likely what I would like to do is come up here after SmackDown on Friday night We'll talk about the show and we'll do full WrestleMania predictions. If for any reason Friday night doesn't work out for me, I'll do it on Thursday night. And then I just won't worry about SmackDown. And then as far as WrestleMania weekend goes, here's my plan. So I have decided that Saturday on night one, this Saturday, I'm going to do a watch-along. I'll watch WrestleMania on night one. Sit right here, hang out with you guys, drink some beer, we'll chill, watch WrestleMania on night one. But night two, I'm not going to watch the show with you guys. I'm not going to live react to it. I'm going to come up afterwards and do a review. That way I can kind of talk about both nights as a whole. So we'll do watch along Saturday, review after WrestleMania on Sunday. And there will be a ton of stuff to get into, I'm sure. And then for the post WrestleMania Raw on Monday, I'll do a review for that one as well. And that might be, aside from SmackDown that I think has been taped as well, that might be it for a while. I'm not sure what we're going to do next Monday, or 2 Mondays from now, I should say. I don't know what's going to be in the cards there and what WWE is going to give us and what we're going to have to work with and what we're going to have to talk about. I don't know. Could be nothing. Could be a lot. Who knows, man? James Rosano, thank you, man. Appreciate the $2, dude. Good. Best of luck to you as well. The coronavirus is no match for Greg's sex appeal. Well, what is? I mean, come on. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, come on. Not much is, man. Not much is. But thank you for that. I appreciate your support this evening. Appreciate your support, all you guys, all throughout the month of March here, now that we're wrapped up and about to head into April. You guys were awesome. It was a great month of content. It was a great month of views, subscribers, all that stuff. The engagement was really high. It feels like this channel is getting back to normal a little bit. And I don't know if that's just because of WrestleMania time or, if we just got our shit together again and the algorithm has decided they like us again. Because things have been good. Things have been real good here, at least on this front. So my backup job, my second job here on YouTube is going pretty well. But as of right now, in my regular job, my regular day-to-day stuff, I am unemployed for the moment, and it looks like I will be at least probably until June 1st, and that is a frightening fucking concept, but it's true. But I've got job security as well. We are not closing. My job will, provided we get through the pandemic, and the pandemic doesn't paralyze us for 6 months, provided this all kind of gets worked out in the next couple of months, 2 to 3, I will be able to resume my job, and I will be fine. Just with a smaller savings account, which really sucks. But other than that, it's survivable, and I'll get on the other side of this. I think we all will, with just maybe a more appreciation for what you have, more appreciation for just life in general, and how not to take anything for granted, because at any given time, some asshole can eat a bat and deliver a virus to the rest of the world, and next thing you know, you can't leave your house. So, be like Jeff Hardy, live for the moment, smell the fresh air, get out, do things, and make the best of your life, because I'd hate to be 80 years old right now. I'd hate to be in my final few years of life and be cooped up in my house. What if you're like some old dude that's doing a bucket list right now and he's fucking skydiving and doing all this crazy shit? And now he's just got to sit there, just sit there. So nobody should have to go through this, young, middle-aged, or old. It sucks for all of us. And I think when life resumes, if life resumes back to normal, or at least close to back to normal, I hope that a lot of people kind of have that like new lease on life type of feeling. It's like, you know what? I'm going to get out there and do something now. Maybe if you've ever wanted to join a gym, do it now when we're done, and say, yeah, I should, instead of sitting on my ass, I don't want to do that again. I was forced to sit on my ass and I don't like it. So, maybe people can better their lives after something like this. I think there's some positives to be found in all of that. So, best of luck to all you guys. That's for sure. Alan Jones Styles is a dead boy. He is a dead boy. Yeah, he's not going to be winning that Boneyard match, right? If he beats The Undertaker in a Boneyard match at WrestleMania, no. I'm thinking that, like, Michelle is going to have to get involved. They're going to have a mixed tag and add Wendy to this. Michelle and Wendy and AJ and Taker. Holy shit. I can't imagine that, but they're not going to do some crazy thing where Michelle Styles clashes AJ, are they? They probably will. Yeah, and a lot of the schools, too, I know a lot of them have right now as May 1st a target date, but, all those dates, anybody that's saying May 1st, I think that's still very likely subject to change. It all just depends on where we're at come 1 month from now. And, it gets to be May 25th and nothing's better. They're going to be like, all right, it's going to be June 1st now. So that's what I'm hoping for. And I know this is kind of crazy advice to take, but I saw Mark Cuban, owner of the Dallas Mavericks. We know him. He's crazy. He's been on WWE a few times. And he just for some reason, I just liked his opinion. He was just kind of, because he's a guy that I feel like will kind of do his own research. He doesn't give a shit like politically one way or the other. He's going to just try to know what he's going to know. And he said something like he feels like it's going to be a June 1st type of thing for the world. Like just based on the medical people that he's talked to and listened to and read articles and all the research that he's done, and he's a billionaire, he's a big businessman who has a lot to invest and a lot to lose here when something like this goes down. So for him to do the proper research and actually not be an idiot, I kind of trust him. So he's kind of under the opinion that, around June 1st is when we should at least start to resume a normal life. And even by then, the coronavirus is still going to be out there. It's just going to be a matter of, maybe we have better testing, or maybe we have, plans in place now to where it's a little bit easier of a risk to take. I don't know. But he seems to think June 1st. And I think that that's optimistic. If June 1st is the day, that would be wonderful, because that means this is something that I can chalk up as being something I'll never forget, but something that I survived. And that's why I'm really hoping, knocking on wood, June 1st, we're hopefully kind of back to normal, or at least sort of back to normal. I'm ready for it. And then after that, what happens? Are handshakes obsolete? Are there things that we're no longer going to do anymore that we never even thought about before? Our big sneeze guards, like I said, at grocery stores. Is every grocery store going to look like a bank now? I mean, what's it going to be? Like, how's the world going to look 1 year from now? What's the date? March 30th, 2021. We should revisit this episode and say, where are we at right now? Hopefully, I'm on my way to LA to WrestleMania, and I'm dealing with that, but we don't know. We don't know. Things could change a lot. I feel bad for Tampa. Do you think WWE is going to try to make good and give them a WrestleMania, or are they just SOL? I kind of think they're SOL. Unless WWE pulls a fast one and they bump LA for Tampa next year. I don't think that would happen. Nothing's announced for WrestleMania 38. So if they were going to go to Vegas, or they were going to go to Minneapolis, or they were going to go to Atlanta, or somewhere with a brand new building, maybe it's Tampa. I don't know. My gut tells me that Tampa's screwed, and that sucks for Tampa. Tampa didn't deserve that either. Thanks, Jordan, for the $5. All schools in Oklahoma are closed for the year, might not restart in August. Yeah, we need Cobra Kai to get here. I agree. Yeah, and that's another thing that's just crazy about all this. My sister's a teacher. She teaches 7th grade. And everybody who's in school, high school or whatever, a lot of schools have different closings than others all across the country. But how does that work? Imagine if you're a senior in high school. Do we got any seniors in high school in the chat here? I couldn't imagine. If I was a senior in high school right now on the cusp of graduating, and now school's just canceled and postponed. You're just going to have to finish up online, most likely, or some sort of a mail-in testing, and you just kind of get your diploma sent to you. That's kind of boring. You don't get to do the whole thing, especially if you've worked hard to get good grades and shit. That's a big deal for some kids. It wasn't a big deal for me, but it's a big deal for other kids. So I feel for them. I feel like it's the same thing in college or just any schooling. And now what happens? You're going to have to finish up. It's going to have to be done online, right? Otherwise, the next fall semester is going to start up, and it might not even, if we're not out of the woods yet. And then if it does, what about this? What about all the people in the previous grade that never finished the grade? Does everybody skip a year? Is everybody held back a year? What a mess. What a mess. And every single business has that to deal with, no matter what it is. Whether it's a small business or a or a big business or something in medical or hospitals or schools or any sort of government agency, anything that you do, you have to really scramble around and say, okay, how am I going to deal with this pandemic? How are we going to work this out? And every single thing is just a jumbled up, scrambled clusterfuck mess. And it sucks. Everybody is just kind of in the same boat here. April 13th. That's crazy. That's a little soon. I don't think anything's going to be ready to go by April 13th. And if you are in a school that's telling you to come back into the classroom, I wouldn't go. I would not go yet. You're a senior in high school, Xavier? I don't know, man. I mean, I'm sure your school's been informing you. What are they saying? And where do you live? But yeah, I think most people are going to have to finish up their academic school year online. It's going to have to be some sort of an online thing. Because how else do you do it? At least you have the luxury of having this online. I've mentioned this a bunch of times in the past couple of weeks, that imagine if all this happened like in the 1970s or in the 1980s when we had a tenth of the technology that we have now. trying to get all these kids finished up and get them finished testing. At least now you have the valuable tool of the internet, which most of us couldn't live without these days. So if all this happened back in the day, it would probably be even harder, but at least with like online stuff, like my unemployment, me going online and doing all that, it was pretty quick, even with half the country filing for it at once, I was able to get in there and then provide everything online, and it's all processed and it's working. Unfortunately, it only pays me half of what I make. That's what sucks, which you can't live off that, but you can live off it for a couple of months. So it's a good thing we have internet and that ability to kind of get things done a little bit faster. And if we are ever in a time in society where social distancing is necessary, this is the best time, because we've never been more connected, ever. In the entirety of human history, we've never been more connected than we are right now. So if we have to stay away from each other, we're still connected. And that wouldn't have been the case. Phone bills would be racking up pretty high if this was the 70s and 80s for all the long distance phone calls you'd be making, because you used to have to pay for that type of shit back in the day. It would be just a completely different, you'd be writing letters. It would be a completely, if that, it would be a completely different reaction to how we're all handling this. So yeah, pandemics suck. I think we can all agree on that. I also wanted to mention this before I get out of here, because AEW is, I guess for right now, is going to be continuing their shows. They got another one this week, and they made a big announcement today right before Raw went on the air that they are unveiling a new singles title. So we speculated on that. We kind of heard rumblings that they were going to be bringing in another title, and we all kind of were saying it should be the television title, back like WCW used to have. Do a TV title. And it appears as if that's what they're doing. They're going to hold an 8-man tournament to be held on TV, on TNT, and then the winner is going to be crowned at Double or Nothing. So the finals of the tournament will take place at Double or Nothing, if there is a Double or Nothing. And at this point, I'm not convinced there will be, because that's in Vegas, and Vegas is empty right now. But ironically, this title belt isn't called the TV title. It's called the TNT Championship. Now, that actually sounds kind of cool. TNT, even though it's named after the network, just TNT Championship. I can get behind that. That sounds okay. But I find it odd that they're naming the title after the network. I mean, I know TNT is all in with AEW. They've got their backs, and that TV deal is a big part of AEW's business, and it's providing them with a lot of their money, and their partnership with TNT. They are relying on their partnership with TNT to even survive. But it might not be out of the realm of possibility that one day in the future, if AEW does become a huge success, and we're talking 5 years down the line, they might leave the network. What if they do? And there's going to be a couple of times a year when they're going to be bumped for, NBA finals and shit like that. So then you're going to have TBS title and True TV title and Sci-Fi title. And I mentioned on Twitter, as long as it doesn't become the Hallmark Championship, I'm cool with it. But anyway, I kind of thought it was odd that they were naming it after the network. That's a little bit weird, because you don't know what the future holds. Who knows where AEW is going to be in 5 or 10 years? And you may have to rename that championship in upcoming years. Who knows? That's looking way ahead. Point is, they're making another title, and I think that's a good thing. And I'm excited for that announcement, and it's going to be cool. I hope that the title design, we've only seen 2 so far in AEW. It kind of looks like they're trying to have their own identity with their title belts, but I really wouldn't mind a throwback. Something to look a little bit like, the TV title on the shelf there would be kind of cool. Doesn't have to look exactly like it. Or maybe the NWA version, the one with the red strap that was a little smaller. That would be good too. So maybe some sort of a throwback title, but AEW might make it in the same style that their world and women's title are. I don't know. But that's kind of good news. We needed another title in AEW, and now we got it. We'll have to see. Other than that, I don't know what they're going to do in terms of television. I guess they are just now exclusively at Daly's Place. Is that what they're doing? And they're not really going to move from that, which is smart. They should stay right there in Jacksonville as long as they can. And I guess they're going to continue to produce TV, but I don't know. I don't know how that's all going to work. I'm really confused about some of these rules about, 10 or more people, 50 or more people. Is that a recommendation? Is that a flat out demand? Can you run a show? Can you not? Is it up to you? Are you willing to take, if you're willing to take the risk, can you? I just don't know. So we'll have to see what AEW continues to do. But as of right now, we've got a Dynamite this Wednesday. And we saw a lot of matches on NXT last week, and NXT will start airing the TakeOver matches this week and I guess maybe the week after. So we might have 2 more weeks at least of some fresh wrestling in the WWE side, because I forgot about NXT. And I think the TakeOver matches are spread out over the course of 2 weeks, because you never cram that shit into 2 hours. That Gargano and Ciampa match, all that'll be probably in the next couple of weeks on TV. So yeah, we still have maybe 2 weeks left. So we're not dead yet. We still got stuff to talk about. And then after that, we'll still come up here and do live streams. I don't care. I'll find something to talk about. I ain't scared. That's for sure. You guys can do me a favor, smash that thumbs up button before I get out of here. Yeah, I think AEW potentially having to change TV networks is way down the line. TNT, I feel like TNT is supporting them. They got their backs. It's good. They're promoting them and stuff. And I feel like some of the problems with WCW near the tail end of their run, they kind of were like an unwanted entity underneath an umbrella of a bigger entity. Same thing with ECW going to TNN. The network treated them like shit. You need to have a network that's going to be behind you, that's going to promote you, advertise you, and care and want you to get good ratings. They're not going to treat you as a nuisance. And I think TNT is doing that with AEW. They seem to be really behind them, and AEW has the confidence to name a championship after them. So that's something. So I have a feeling they're going to be there to stay, provided the ratings are good and, the deals are good. I think they'll remain on TNT forever. Thanks, Nick. I make your life complete. I appreciate it. You make my life complete too. All y'all do. So anyway, I'm going to go ahead and get the hell out of here. I had a long day. I'm kind of tired. I'm a little out of it, so I'm sorry if I sound a little stuttery or jumbly tonight, but I'm just kind of beat. So I'm going to take it easy for the rest of the night. I hope you guys take it easy for the rest of the night as well. I will be up here, like I said, on Thursday or Friday, not sure yet, with WrestleMania predictions, live reaction on Saturday, full review on Sunday after Night 2 goes off the air. So that's the schedule now. You might see me Wednesday or something for a quick live stream. If any other crazy news breaks or anything happens, I'll pop up here, because I ain't got nowhere else to be. So you guys take care. Have a good rest of your night, and I'll catch you in just a couple days. Be cool. Peace.